Craig here. In this video I'm going to be showing you how you can transfer a WordPress site over to Hostgtor hosting. Now I've split this video up into 4 parts and I'm going to use these annotations. So if you click on the right side of the screen, you can skip from step to step. So the first step is going to cover downloading the complete backup of your WordPress website to your computer. Step number 2 is going to be adding the domain, setting up an email account, and installing a new WordPress installation on your Hostgtor hosting. Step number 3, we're going to cover uploading the core files, which is all the themes, etc. And then the final step will be installing the backup database. Then once you've completed all of these steps, you'll be able to switch your name server so that it's pointing to Hostgtor. Now following these instructions you will have no downtime. Should you run into any problems, feel free to post a comment below. If you haven't signed up for Hostgtor yet and you want to get a better discount than the default 20%, you can use my coupon codes, which are howtovideo, and that will get you your first month free. Basically it's $9.95 off. Or if you plan on purchasing a full year's hosting at the checkout, you can use howtovideo25 and that will get you 25% off the checkout order. So step 1 involves backing up your website, downloading it to your computer so that you're ready to transfer it to a new web host. Now what we're looking at here is a PLR blog that I've had for a while now. I don't do anything with it. But in this video, I'm going to use this and transfer it over to Hostgtor. Now, if I log into my admin area of this blog, I currently have 2 plugins which every week will back up this blog and send it to 2 different locations. Now, I have a plugin called Wordpress for Google Drive, and I've created a video which will show you how to configure this and set it up. And what it will do is it will back up all of the core files and the database and send it to my Google Drive account. Now scrolling down here we have another plugin called BackWPup, and this one works very much the same. You can schedule it to back everything up daily, weekly, monthly, however you want to set it up. But this one you get to pick where you want to send your backup. I've created a video and I'm going to put the links to the video in the description, or maybe I'll use an annotation if you're watching this on YouTube. Now this plugin sends the backup to Dropbox. Now Dropbox and Google Drive are both free. Google Drive gives you 5 GB for free and Dropbox, I believe it's 2 GB for free. So what I need to do now is download my complete backup to my computer so that I'm ready to transfer it to my new host. Now over in Dropbox, I've already downloaded it to my computer, but I would simply log in and find my latest backup and right click and download it to my computer. In Google Drive, I'd simply locate my backup and right click and download. It's right there. Now, I've already done this and I'm going to open up the folders because some people may be using one plugin and some may not be, so I wanted to show you what it looks like from using both plugins. Now they're pretty much exactly the same. Now I've already extracted the zip files because that takes a couple of minutes, and if I open up the folder you'll see that it's backed up pretty much all of the files and folders from the root directory of the old host. And same if I open up this folder here, you'll see that it's pretty much exactly the same, although I did exclude a couple of files and folders. Now you may have seen other tutorials on backing up websites and they tell you you only need to back up the WP content folder. Well, 9 times out of 10 that's all you do need to back up. But for example with this Stop Smoking blog, the author created a folder called I, and inside here we have a bunch of images. Now these images are used as the featured post image. So had I not backed up the entire thing, I would have lost all of these images. So it's a good idea to just back up everything and then you don't have to worry about why is something missing. So now that we have the core files on our computer, we are ready to move on to step number 2. So in step 2 what we're going to be doing is adding the domain name to our Hostgtor hosting, we're going to quickly set up an email address with the domain name, and then we are going to install WordPress on the new domain. Now, if you don't want any downtime, if your website is still live on another host, it's important that you don't switch the name server until you have everything set up, but you can complete all of these steps before switching the name server. Okay, so I'm inside my control panel and I'm going to scroll down until I locate add-on domains. Now, this isn't my primary domain that I've signed up for Hostgator with, but if you did sign up for Hostgator with your primary domain, then you could skip this step. Now, I'm going to click on add-on domains, and my new domain is going to be called Quit Now Stop Smoking, and when I click here, it's automatically going to pre-fill these areas. And the password, we are going to enter OK password. Sometimes I use the password generator, and we are going to click Add Domain. And the domain and the FTP account has been successfully created. Now I'm going to jump back to the home page of the control panel, and I'm going to scroll down until I find email accounts. Now I'm going to click on this. And what I want to do is create an email address called admin@quitnowstopsmoking. Now, because I have a number of domains on this account, I'm going to blur this out, but basically on this drop down menu, you would locate the domain name that you've just added. And now I'm just going to enter in admin, or I could enter in Craig or whatever I wanted to. So we're going to click create account, and the email address has been created. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to install WordPress. And by the way, the email thing is totally optional. I just figured I'd chuck that into the video at the same time. So to install WordPress, we are going to use a service called Quick Install. So we're going to click on it once, and then we are going to click on WordPress, and we're going to click on Continue. And with this drop down menu, again, if you only have a couple of domains or one domain, that's all you're going to see is your domain name. But I'm going to locate the domain that we've just added. So what I've done is I've entered in my email address, a blog title, username, and my first and last name. Now, the email address, the blog title, and the admin username, it's all going to be replaced when we import the backup database. So you can enter what you like here. You probably want to enter in a real email address though. And now we are ready to install WordPress 3.4.2. So I'm going to click on install. I'm just going to take a couple of seconds, and there we are finished. So it's given us a username and a blog password. We don't need this because we have no need to log into the blog. Right now, all it's done, it's created a default blog. And if we click here, we can view it. But if your domain is still pointing to the old web host and you don't want any downtime, then obviously it's going to load up the other web host because it's going to the domain name. Don't freak out because we can complete all this before we change the name server. Okay, and now we are ready to move on to step number 3. So now it's time to upload the core files, which means the plugins and themes, etc. And I'm going to show you two different methods. The first method is going to be via an FTP program called FileZilla. It's free and you can download it. And the other method will be via the file manager, which is inside of the Hostgtor control panel. Now I'll show you both methods because some people are more comfortable with one than the other. Now I'm going to open up these backup folders again, and from this point on I'm just going to stick with one of them because it's getting confusing, but basically you can continue along following the same process. It doesn't really matter which backup plugin you used. So let's minimize the Dropbox, and we are going to continue now with the Google Drive backup. So I'm going to open up the unzipped folder, and I want to go and delete a file. Now the reason I want to delete wp-config.php is because I'm moving my domain and website from one hosting company to another, and inside of this wp-config file it contains all of the old database connection details. Now when we upload all of these files, most of them are going to overwrite the current files that we've just installed with the new WordPress installation. But if we overwrite the WP config, then it's going to cause problems and you're going to have errors because it's going to be trying to connect to the old web host. Now I'm sure that sounds confusing, but just delete WP config because you do not need it. So I'm going to delete it. I'm going to click yes, and now I'm going to open up FileZilla. Now I'm going to connect to my hosting, and I have to go and locate the directory, which, if you remember, when I installed the domain name, the directory was called quitnowstopsmoking.com. So as you can see right now in here we have all of the files and folders from the default installation of WordPress. Now in this little window here is files that are currently on my desktop, and I have a folder here, this one, WordPress for Google Drive. Now what I want to do is press Control A, and that's going to select all, and then I would simply drag them over here, let go, and it's going to start uploading. But then it's going to see that there's some files which are the same, or it wants to overwrite files. Now I'm going to check always use this action and make sure it's on overwrite and press OK. So it's going to overwrite any files it comes across with the same file name in the same location. Now this is a good thing because if we've made any custom edits to our backup website, well then our edits, etc., file edits are going to be put back into place. The next method is with File Manager. Now I'm going to scroll down until I find the File Manager, which is right here. And what I normally do is open up the root directory of the domain name. Now what I recommend you do is you find your domain name. Now I have quitnowstopsmoking.com and I've checked that there. Now I'm going to click Go, and I'm inside of my root directory. Now when we click Upload, the only problem here is if we click Choose File, and you'll see we're in the backup folder, we can only choose one file at a time. So with thousands of files, you don't want to be doing it this way. So what we need to do is we need to come back to our backup, and I'm just going to assume that you have WinZip or 7-zip or some kind of program like that where you can put a whole bunch of files into a zip file. I'm inside the root directory because I can see WP content, WP includes, etc. And I've deleted the WP config file. Now I'm going to press on my keyboard Control A, and that's going to select all. Or we can do it this way, and we hold the left mouse button down and we basically select them all that way. Now once you have all of the files selected, we are going to right click, and we are going to find the program which we have installed, which can, put all of the files into a zip file. So 7-zip is a free program and you can install it. And I'm going to right click, select this, and then click on Add to Archive. Archive format, we're going to put this to zip, and we're going to press OK. And basically now it's squashing all the files and folders and putting it into one zip file. Alright, so now it has generated a zip file for us, and it will be this one right here because it uses the folder name to generate the zip file. So what we're going to do is come back to Hostgator, and we're going to click Upload. We're going to choose the file, and we're going to locate that zip file, which is here. We're going to click OK, and it's going to upload. Okay, so I believe we're pretty much done here with the upload. So that has been uploaded, and I am going to close this tab. So now I'm going to hit reload this page, and you'll notice that we now have the upload file, and it's inside of our root directory. So what I want to do is select it once, and we are going to click Extract. and that's exactly where we want it to extract. So I'm going to click extract files, and basically it's extracted them all and put them all where they need to go in the right order, and we're going to click close. Now that is pretty much it. All of the plugins and themes, etc. have been uploaded. Now if that was confusing, I'm sorry about that. Personally, I recommend you use FTP, but if you're comfortable with File Manager, then you will have to go through the step of creating a zip file. So in the next step, we are going to be importing the blog database. Now before we can import the blog database, we have to find out what the database name is of the new blog installation we installed a few minutes ago via quick install. Now if you only have one blog on your hosting, then you don't really need to worry about this, but I have several blogs and I need to make sure that I'm going to be editing the correct database. So to find the database, if you still have the file manager open, and I'm in the directory of quit now stop smoking, I'm going to find the wp-config file, wp-config.php, and I'm going to click on view. Now this is going to give me the database name. Now here where it says db name, that's database name, I want to write down this wrdp13. Now if I was in FileZilla, I would do the same thing, locate wp-config.php, right click and click view/edit. And I have it set to open up in Notepad++, but basically it's going to give us the database name, also gives us the database user and the database password. So make sure you write down the database name. Now opening up the backup folders again, I'm going to be showing you just quickly where your database backups are. Now if you use the Dropbox backup plugin, you're going to find the SQL, which is database file, inside the root directory. So basically, as soon as you go in the unzipped folder, you're going to find an SQL file. Now it's probably going to be called the old database name or something, and that is where you'll find it. Now if you use the Wordpress for Google Drive, you'll need to go inside WP content, and then you'll have a folder called DB, and in here you'll find your database files. Now depending on how you set the plugin up, you may find 1, 2 or 3 database files in here. If you look at the numbers, the higher the number, then obviously the more current the database is. And we're going to come back to the Hostgator control panel. Now we have to locate phpmyadmin, so I'm going to scroll down and it's right at the bottom for me, and we're going to click on phpmyadmin. So here, this is phpmyadmin, and I don't recommend you ever go in here unless you know what you're doing or you're following some instructions like I'm trying to show you right now. So we have all of my databases for this hosting account are all listed here, and you can see I have loads of databases. So that's why I had to go and figure out what my database name was, because if I started editing this one, well, I could mess up another blog. I forgot what my database name was now. WRDP13. So I need to find WRDP13, and it's right here, and this is my database. So what I'm going to do is select check all and drop, and then I'm going to click yes to confirm. So what we've just done is deleted our entire database, and what we need to do now is we need to import our backup database. So up here we have import, and then we're going to click choose file, and we are going to locate the database we want to import. So it was WP content, DB, and it was this one right here. Now I'm going to click open, I'm going to scroll down and click go, and I'm going to let it import. And there we are, it's successfully imported the blog database. Right now, our blog has been transferred, But if you're still using the old hosting and the domain's pointing there, it's pretty much impossible to test it because a WordPress blog works with the absolute URL. So there's no way to test it until you switch over your name server. But if you've uploaded all of the core files, etc., and you've imported the database, then there's no reason why anything should have gone wrong. So what you would want to do next is switch the name server so that it's pointing to your Hostgator hosting. Now, to find your Hostgator name server details, they send it to you in your welcome email, or if you're inside your control panel, if you scroll all the way down, you will find them in the column on the left. So what I'm going to do is, because my domain's already pointing to Hostgator, I'm going to press enter and make sure that this has worked successfully. I'm going to press F5 because my browser is actually using the browser cache. Okay, that's better. So that's basically how you do it. If you run into any problems, post a comment below or message me via YouTube or my website, thewiseaffiliate.com, and I will gladly try and help you out. If you haven't signed up for Hostgator, don't forget that I have some coupon codes, and you can get your first month for free if you enter in howtovideos, or if you enter in howtovideos 25, you will get 25% off your total checkout order. Now that coupon only makes sense if you're going to pay for a full year's worth of hosting or 2 years worth of hosting. Now don't forget, if you like this video, to hit the like button and subscribe to stay updated for more videos.